All right. So this is second class today, and we discussed about what happens with GRC, right? We already discussed like clear ownership, lower risk, better decision, stronger compliance, proactive security. But if you go without GRC, what happens? Your governance is going to be weak because no one knows what to do and everything is working like ad hoc. Something goes wrong, you're trying to fix it that particular time. So these are the common issues. Frequently, security incidents, some data breach will keep happening because you're not prepared in advance. Poor accountability, because you do not know whom you are going to put the responsibility of particular issues. Business downtime, audit failures, legal penalties, loss of customer trust, revenue and reputation damage. And if you happen to receive all of these, your business is certainly going to be shut down in some time because no business can sustain irregularities. And especially in today's world when we know that lot of watch is there from regulatory bodies, from the government, you cannot do the misconduct in the business. So you have to be very, very fair in the business. And for that reason only, GRC is even more important now. Let's talk about how this basically happens. You start with the weak governance. This is the step number one. Then you get the poor risk visibility, means you don't know what kind of risk might be there for your business. You have control failures. Control means anything which is supporting your business, like you have a firewall, that's a technical control. You have a HR policy, that's administrative control. So anything which is basically helping your business will go fail because you don't have anything in place. Compliance issues, a lot of compliance issues would be there. Then security incidents, and this is the disaster when you start getting more and more security issues, business damage, and that is kind of shutdown condition. If this prolonged, okay, so this is how GRC is very important in any business. If you are not having effective GRC, governance, risk, and compliance, your business will not sustain. Earlier, there was a time when many companies did not focus much on security and GRC, but that time the regulatories and compliance were very flexible, so they were able to sustain. Now things have changed, so every company will have very stringent policies. Now let's talk about how GRC is going to support cybersecurity, right? Because our more main focus is on cybersecurity. GRC basically goes beyond cybersecurity. It's not only cybersecurity, but your job roles would mostly be around cybersecurity. So we'll focus more and more on cybersecurity. So GRC, when it basically defines the security direction, it works on the security direction and accountability. If you talk about risk management, it helps to prioritize the controls, which things you have to pick up first, which security you need to take up first. You might got 10 items in the list. Out of 10 items, 3 items might be critical. Next 3 items might be medium, and 4 items, remaining 4 items might be low. So you don't need to pay too much attention on the low severity or low criticality. You have to first pick up the critical items, then you can go for the second one. Compliance helps us to basically stay regulated, stay secure. Okay, so compliance helps us to have those controls in place, which helps our business to be secure, and you can implement and get it reviewed. So this is how GRC helps cybersecurity. Earlier we were discussing about how GRC helps your business. Now we are talking about how GRC helps your cybersecurity. So if you have GRC in place, you have reduced attack surface, means you already know that okay, these are the weakness, you have already closed those loopholes. So now GRC is reducing your attack surface as well. In your home you have two doors, three windows. Thief can come from those five loopholes, right? But if you always keep one door and other windows locked, thief will not be able to come inside. There will be only one door open where you can keep your security guard, placed. The question could be why the one door is open. Obviously, if you have to use your home, right, you have to have at least one door open so that you can get inside. Likewise, in business also, you need to keep some interface open so your genuine users can use your services. Improved control effectiveness. So as I said you already, controls are the functions which helps your business. It could be technical control like firewall, routers, email, servers. These are all technical controls. There could be administrative controls like policies like change management policy, incident management policy, HR policy, anything. Supports audit readiness. So if you have GRC in place, you will you will be ready for the audit anytime because you are keeping your things ready for the audit. You have all the evidences, you have all the processes in place. You also maintain the documentation part. So you are actually audit ready. Then you can have digital transformation. So if you are good in GRC, it helps you to have digital transformation. Means if you are having any manual processes in your business, you can basically make them digital. Builds business confidence in security program. So again, here it is leadership. So leadership is going to trust more to your security program because whatever you are proposing to them, that would be in relation with the business growth. You are not going to restrict the business. In fact, you are going to support the business. So this is how it helps. So now let's talk about how GRC supports business goals. So if you talk about GRC in depth, you have understood already that here we are trying to support the business. How we are going to support the business? We want to make sure that understand the objectives of the business. If you are in a manufacturing industry, you know that what is the product of your company. And to support that, you have to see how the assembly line is working, means what are the components required to manufacture that particular product. And at each and every point, you want to make sure that their job perfectly, right? So that is how you are going to support your business. So here the benefit of GRC is that you are making sure that your security investments are aligning with the business goal. So if you are bringing a security guard, keeping him at the entrance of your factory, that person is actually adding value. He is making sure that if any product is going out or inward it is coming inside, he is keeping a note of each and everything. Similarly, if you are putting a firewall, you know that there are some attack which are very specific to manufacturing business, and you are keeping only that particular firewall which is good in defense of these kind of attacks. Expansion happens with better control. So the thing is, if you have a one company, one factory today, you want to convert that into three factories, or you have one office today, you want to open two more offices, you can basically extend the same policies across the locations. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to recreate the documentation. So if you have one office today, you have already created all the process documentation. Same documentation you can use to create more offices. So your expansion is in your control and it's very easy to do. And customer trust, obviously, we already talked about this. Operations becomes more stable and predictable. So you will have less chance of failures. You know that what kind of failures might happen. You already worked hard to fill those gaps. And now your business is more prominent. It is less prone to failures. Leadership gets better visibility into exposure and performance. It's very important because if leadership is not aware or they don't know, in that case, obviously you will not get funding of your projects. If you are going to leadership asking them, we need $100 million because we want to move from premise-based data center to cloud-based data center. So any project for that matter, I just took one example. Another could be you are using outsourced email gateway. You want to add your own email gateway to save the cost. You need some funding. So leadership can give you approval only when they believe in you. So this is the way you actually create a lot of leadership awareness, leadership visibility, and they help you. Okay, so these are basically, things you get when you have good governance: trust, growth, stability, security, compliance, better decisions. So right now we are having a lot of focus on the importance of GRC. So when you understand the importance of GRC, later when we going to talk about a specific process, a specific technologies, tools, you will be having more idea why we are putting a lot of efforts. Okay, so outcomes we already told: strong accountability across the team, better understanding, fewer surprises means you have all visibility. So sudden breakdown you will not have. You know already if something can fail, how will it fail? Cost. So that means if something goes wrong, you will be able to fix it quickly. So your incidents are not going to run very long. Sustainable growth and stronger reputation. So this is what every company want to have. Now let's talk about the benefits. Governance, we'll talk about governance, risk, and compliance, separate benefits. And governance pillar basically focuses on leadership, as we already told. Accountability means we want to make sure that everything is owned by somebody. So people are aware about it. People are responsible, accountable. So the benefit is better decisions. Your leadership can take better decisions and they will have stronger control. If you talk about risk pillar is basically helping you to identify and managing the risk. Okay. So any uncertain things in your company won't be there. You will know about each and everything. If something is failing, then you will know why it is failing. And because of that, you will have less failures. Okay. So you will have fewer disruptions. Compliance. Compliance pillar is focusing on laws and regulations and standards. So this basically helps penalties and it gets you a lot of trust from the market. With this, so we are done. Any questions before I move on? Okay, so let me proceed with the module 2.
We will share the document with us.
Yes, we will share that. we'll share the document as well as we will share that recording also.
Right.
And expectation would be that every day review as
Because
well.
whenever we time, we can go through again.
Yeah, yeah, right. But as I said, we don't want things to be dependent completely on recording, because when I explain live, that is going to be more focused. You can ask questions, right?
Right.
So my suggestion would be join the classes, and then if something you want to revisit, then you can go with the recording. That's fine. So now this is the module 2, and in module 2 we are going to discuss about governance structure and stakeholders. Means how the hierarchy happens, in what direction things flow in your organization, as well as what are the stakeholders. The learning objectives, let's discuss. We will understand how governance drives business line cybersecurity decisions. We will also discuss what is the difference between strategic, tactical, and operational governance layers, because there would be three layers majorly. Then we'll discuss about policy, procedures, processes. Then we'll also discuss about some tools like RACI matrix, three line of defense, and risk register also. Then we'll also discuss about governance models like centralized versus federated model. Okay, so we already discussed about what governance is. So I guess you guys have good understanding. We will talk directly about the pyramid. So this is the cyber pyramid. And in this pyramid, if you see on the top, there are executives. Okay. These are the people who decide everything. And who sits there? Board of directors, CEOs, CFOs, CROs, any executive level people, they would be sitting there. And some business people also sit there, like CIO, CISO, CSO, depending on the organization type. Some organization will have CIO, CISO, CSOs sitting on the top. Some organization will have these roles at security leadership. Okay. So like this security leadership, that is the second. This is a focused security program. So under security leadership, you are going to basically design the program. Executive layer is only for the approvals. They are not going to work on the ground. They will not create any documentation. They will not create any planning, but they are going to oversee everything, and they are the people who are going to approve. So you can basically see in this way, they are the people who are going to approve things. Okay. Security leadership, they are the people who are going to present any particular program. If they are bringing a new thing to the company, if they are moving from premise based to cloud, or they are bringing procuring 10 servers, like that, they're going to present it. Security manager, okay, these are the people who are basically technical leadership. They own departments. Okay, so for example, IT department, security department, HR department, or any department for that matter. So they are the department heads, technical. Now these are the working working force. Okay, so these are the people like engineers, analysts, and mostly when you get placed, right, you will be placed here only. This is your role going to be, and you will be reporting to security management. Security management is going to report to security leadership. Leadership is going to report to executives or board of directors. But why we are showing you here? Because this has a lot of relevance to your role. when you create any documentation or your new process or something, it has to go through the approval process, and approval process will come from the top. So if you create any security policy, for example, acceptable use policy could be created by technical team also, could be created by security management team also, but will be presented by security and will be approved by executives. So this is the flow of approval. Now let's talk about how these layers will do in specific. So the strategic layer, the board and executives, this strategic layer is going to define the risk appetite. Risk appetite means how much risk a company can sustain. If I say every company will receive some of the data breach, right? But we are not, I mean, we can't say that we will be able to control data breaches 100%. What we have to control is there should not be any data breach which is costing us huge. Okay. So when you put any security control, they comes for a cost. If you put any hardware or software or firewall, you are paying some amount, right? So security budgets are also sure that you are not overpaying. That is why there would be some risk which you have to accept. You don't want to do anything for those risks and you want to just accept. For example, there is a server, maybe hardware. This is worth 100 USD and you are suggesting to spend 110 USD to protect it. Is it worth? Question to you guys.
Uh, it is
You
little
have
high.
an asset which, yeah, so you are having 100 USD worth asset and you are spending 110 USD. So this is not worth basically. This is you are overspending. $10 you are losing by adding the security. So how much you can spend on this? You should always spend less than this value should always be greater than the security implementation. So usually what happens to protect 100 USD, you should be spending somewhere at max 80 to 90 USD only. At least you should save some amount. Otherwise, management will say no need to do anything. Even if that asset is gone, it is fine for us because to protect it, you are spending more than that. So these kind of things, these kind of risks would be accepted. And on what ground they are going to accept it? Based on their risk appetite. This is what I was trying to explain you. They are going to approve the budgets and policies, obviously, because they are the people who are giving you the money. Align security with business vision. So strategic people are going to align security with the business objective. As I told you, they are the people, they know the business engineers, right? If it is a manufacturing company, they know what product they are going to sell. Then how security is going to align with that people who are going to work. Now let's talk about one example. Board of director decides we accept low risk on customer data exposure. Okay. They are saying that we are not going to spend anything which risk is low. And how the risk will come low? Either the vulnerability is low, or impact is low, or the probability is low. That we will talk about. Risk management we'll talk about in detail, but for now, just understand if there is a low risk, management might decide we are not going to spend any amount on this. Now the second layer comes, tactical layer. And in this layer is very important because these are the people who are specialized in security and specialized in information. Correct? So these are the people who are going to present things to management, and they would be basically understanding a lot of technical things also. So if senior manager or engineers are presenting any plan, any strategy, who is going to uh, decide whether they should take it to board of directors? These are the people like CISOs, Chief Information Security Officer, Chief Information Officer. These are very key roles in cybersecurity and information security. So they are going to translate the business coming from top management into frameworks and controls, dual control. Like here it's business, here it's security. So they are doing the heavy lifting up controls. They are the people who are going to decide KPIs and KRIs, key performance indicators, key risk indicators. These are the metrics, means these are the formulas how they are going to calculate how they also what kind of risks are there for the company. Like if you take example, CISO implements a zero trust. Zero trust is a technology, okay?
So what is KRI? Key risk indicators.
KRI is key risk indicator. Key risk indicator means these are the indications of having a elevated risk. How will you calculate the risk basically? So management understands data, right? They don't understand very technical things. That is the reason these metrics are going to help management. So for example, CISO implements zero trust plus DLP, data loss prevention or data leak prevention. So, and he is going to do this based on the board of director expectations. Now, let's talk about third layer, which is very, very technical, IT, SOC, engineers. Okay, so this layer basically do the real work. They are the people who are going to implement things. They are going to execute the controls. Okay, like execute the controls, handling the incidents. If some security breach happens, these are the people who are going to pick the ticket. These are the people who are going to investigate. These are the people who are going to prepare the report also, root cause analysis, or any technical stuff. These are the people who are going to perform. And they would be maintaining the systems as well. Like they would do backup, they would do maintenance, they would do patching, upgrades like SOC detects and respond to the threats. SOC team sits on this layer. Security Operations Center. Our engineers, even GRC analysts are also going to sit on this layer only. So if you work in GRC, your role would be, for example, if you have assigned as a risk analyst, then you are going to work on risk management day-to-day job. What would be your risk management job? You will be tracking each and every risk items. Maybe you identified or your team identified 20 risk items for your company. Then you are go back each risk item with the departments. Maybe some risks are with the backup department, some risks are with the HR department, some risks are with the different organization, different departments. Like HR, the background verification is not done correctly for the employees who are being hired. That is a risk. If you are hiring a wrong people, right? They might be do some malicious jobs at your company. They might be stealing your data, they might be selling it to your competitors, right? So GRC people's job is to not only talk about technical teams, they can also talk to HR teams, they can also talk to other teams and make sure that every risk is covered properly. Any questions? Okay. So fourth is end user. So definitely end user means the people who are using your services. It could be your customers, it could be your employees, depending on which kind of organization you are in. If you are a retail business, for example, Amazon, Flipkart, then these people would be the customers. They are going to buy your products. If you are in a IT cyber security business, these would be your customers again, but they are going to avail your services. So it depends on the company type. And these are the people who are going to report you the suspicious activities also. If something goes wrong, they are going to report back to you. Like example, employee reports a phishing email. Then you are going to work on that phishing email. Not you, but basically the responsible team. Policies, processes, and procedures. So let's understand the difference between what is policy, what is process, and what is procedure. And we'll understand this in against purpose, depth, honor, and example. It's very important. Please pay attention to. Policy means direction. It's a rule, right? So basically, you are create and policies sit on the top. Process and procedures will be defined later. First, you have to define the policy itself. So under policy, you are basically describing what and why. So if you are saying that you can access social media on your company laptop. So basically you are defining what you can access. Also you will mention why. Like why you want to access social media because you are in a marketing department, you want to showcase your products on social media. That is the reason you are allowing to access social media on server. Depth, high level. So depth means what kind of statements you are going to put in the policy. You are not going to be very detailed here. You will be making very high level statements. You will simply say allow social media for marketing department. That is the policy. Now if it comes to more detailed how you implement it, you are going to basically say that we will allow Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram for people who are in marketing department. Their IP address is this, their time of access is this. All these details will not be part of the policy. They will be the part of other documents like process and procedures. Okay. So procedures are going to be very detailed. Policy is going to be very high level. That's the difference. So policy, a good policy says you should have a very simple statements because you are not going to change your policy each and every day. Policy usually gets upgraded, updated yearly once. Procedures, processes you can keep updating. That is your own wish because for that you don't need approval from your board of directors. But policy has to be approved by the board of directors. So you can't really go to them each and every week or each and every month and ask their approval. They are not the people who are going to do this every day. That is why policy should be defined very high level. Who is the owner? Board or CEO or CISO. Example, information security policy or acceptable use policy, social media policy, or bring your own device policy, anything. Now let's talk about processes. Processes basically they define the workflow. Now you have already defined something in the policy that you want to make more specific. You want to give more details. And when you do that, you have to have more details in a document. Then you are addressing two questions, when and who. So in process, you are going to define when this thing will happen and who will do it. Earlier, we were only discussing what and why. What and why means they are more related to the business vision and mission. It's like high level. Why you are doing this? Correct. Now you are discussing who is doing it. So basically, you are breaking it down to the people. You are making people responsible. Like I am a change manager. Okay. So I will approve the changes. I will request the changes. This is my job. So this would be the process. If you talk about procedures, so procedures are the document that will be detailing how to do it. Only one question they answer, that is how to do. So there would be tons of processes. Procedures basically are optional. Okay, this is not compulsory. The policies, this is compulsory. This is optional because you can follow this execution flow. Otherwise, you can follow your own execution flow as well. But that should not break something. That is the only caveat. Procedures are very detailed. They will have all the steps like how to do step 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the steps. You will have starting, middle, closing, everything. And who is going to do the honor of this procedures, SOPs? Engineers. Engineers are going to create the SOP. How they will create the SOP? For example, you want to create SOP for a change management. Now, engineer can write SOP, what they need to do if they need to make some changes on a server. For example, you want to add a hard drive to a server. How will you do that? You can create a complete procedure that send a notification to all the stakeholders who are using services because there would be some disruption on the server. Then step number 2, shut down the server. Step number 3, add the hard disk. Step number 4, format the hard disk. Step number 5, upgrade the OS. Step number 6, verify the hardware. Step number 7, close the change. Could be anything basically. So it depends on which particular action you are taking. And likewise, you are going to create your procedures. So procedures can be created by engineers. They need not to be approved by managers or need not to be approved by board of directors. But policies are created, can be created by engineers, managers as well. They can basically participate in that. But policies would always be approved by high level, that is board and CISO, and depth would be high level. High level means they will not have very detailed information. They will only say top level information, and details you can add in other documentation like process. Process are medium detailed documentation. It's not very big also, it's not very small also. Any question? Any questions here?
No, sir.
Okay, so now let policies created first, processes created second, procedures are going to create it later. So policies are deciding strategy, processes are deciding the execution part, that is the groundwork basically, and procedures are the action, the actual work. This is mostly by engineers. This is mostly by managers. Okay. So let's talk about now enterprise. We will now discuss about information security policy, and any policy when you develop right, you will have some definite steps to create. Now, if you look at the information security policy, you will have policy statement, you will have roles and responsibilities, you will have risk assessment and management, you will have access control policy, you will have data classification and handling policy, you will have incident response and reporting. All these things are going to be part of your security policy. We call it information security policy. What kind of documents you might be having here information security policy, risk management framework, data classification standards. So when I talk about data classification standards, one thing is very clear that you need to classify your assets. If you do not classify, how will you prioritize the mitigation? If I have 100 assets, right, and I don't know which asset is more valuable, which asset is less valuable, then if I am being asked to provide the security, I'll be mostly doing same security for all of those, right? But that is not the right way. That is why the data classification becomes very, very important. You have to first classify your data. Based on that, you can prioritize the risk management. Then you have business continuity plan, means if you have single threaded execution, or maybe you have single server, you want to add another server so that if single server fails, you can basically switch back to the backup server. This is kind of business continuity planning, and this is not only related to technical, this is more operational basically. So when you have single office, something goes wrong with that office, maybe flood comes in that city, or maybe some terrorist attack happens in that city, how will you manage your operations during this kind of calamities? So you need to have few things offshore. If you are located in Bangalore and something goes wrong with that, you don't have any people located apart from Bangalore, then your business is going to be shut down. Always you need to have few things off the site. If you have your primary site in Bangalore, create your secondary site somewhere in north. So if something goes with the southern part of the India, you have something which can be live in the other part of the world or other part of the country. That is why nowadays many people, when they use cloud, they want to create backup zone, and they are selecting different zones. They want, if their primary zone is in North America, then their secondary zone should be somewhere in Europe or maybe in Asia. This is how your business can continue, even if your primary site is experiencing some outage. Disaster recovery is something when everything is down and you just want to recover your data. Disaster recovery focuses recovery data. Regulatory mapping. So you want to make sure that your company is following some standards like ISO 27001. This is ISMS, Information Security Management System. NIST, this is basically US government agency. They create a lot of documentation for US government, but they have kept this open for public also. So if you want to create your own policies, procedures, anything, you don't need to do everything from the scratch. You can simply download documentation from NIST website and you are good to go. Later you can customize it. GDPR is basically General Data Protection Regulation Act. This is mostly in Europe, but it is applied in other countries also if those companies are processing EU citizens' data. For example, I have a company in India. I collect data of Germany people. So, because they belong to European Union, I have to comply with GDPR. Understand? Okay, so let's
Yes.
talk about. So if you have good documentation, you will have faster audits because in audit mostly auditors are going to check your documentation, check your process, check your procedures only. You will have clear accountability, you will have reduced dependency on individuals. So if somebody is leaving their job, maybe you got one person who was maintaining your servers. He does not maintain any documentation and he's very good at his work. If you ask him to change the hard drive, he will do it. If you ask him to upgrade the OS, he will do it. If you ask that person to maintain the server, he will do it. But he doesn't create the documentation. What will happen if he is not coming to the office? Because he did not create any documents, you will have to simply if you have to do anything. So if you really want to make your processes less dependent on individuals, better to create strong documentation so that he will document each and everything, how to upgrade the OS, how to change the hardware, how to maintain the server. And if he's not coming for the job or he's not well to come to the office, you can ask someone else to follow the documents and perform the same job. It is easy to do, right? So that's how strong documentation is going to help removing your dependency on individuals. Now let's talk about governance roles and stakeholders. Okay, this is what we were talking more. This you guys will have to go through multiple times because it's easy to understand, but sometimes I want you to focus more on few things. This is one of that. So if your role is board of directors, what is your core function? Risk oversight. Oversight means looking at from high level, helicopter view. You have to basically look from the top. You don't need very specific details, but you need to know if there is a risk upcoming for your business. If you are a CEO, you have to basically do lot of culturing work, lot of funding work. So these CEO means you are running the organization. Everything being decided by you. If you are a CIO, then you are mostly focusing on IT part, Chief Information Officer. This person could be head of IT. So you are going to perform resource optimization, you are going to perform control selection, you are going to perform planning, transformation, all those things would be done at CIO level. CISO and CIO are going to work very closely. Okay. The CIO might be handling other part of IT like database, like applications. Anything in IT would be headed by CIO, but CISO is going to focus only on cyber security or information security, we can call it. So that is the difference between CIO and CISO. CIO means Chief Information Officer, focusing on all IT functions. Cyber security is also one function of IT. Other functions of IT could be applications, databases, hardware, Internet of Things, anything. Then comes risk manager. Risk manager is very specific position. This person is going to work on risk management for the organization. Then comes compliance officer. Nowadays, most of the companies are having compliance officers because of regulations. This person is going to only work on compliance issues. He is going to understand that your company is operating in a particular compliance. Maybe if you are in a banking industry, you are following PCI DSS, you are following RBI guidelines. So that is your compliance. So you have to just make sure that you are fitting into your own role. So compliance officer is going to perform this kind of job, right? Then comes IT security ops. Okay, these are the very specific people. They are going to perform some system level job. They are like team leads. They are like managers who are performing a very specific job in security operations. Then data owners. So data owners are basically it's a kind of very important because data classification would be done by them, right? So data owners are the people who would be owning particular data. Data could be anything. It could be a list of employees. It could be a list of customers. It could be list of upcoming leads for the business. Data could be anything. Then employees. Employees are anyway, they are the first line of defense. How you are going to do it? Through awareness. They are the first line of defense. So here basically you got three line of defense. First line of defense, the business. Second line of defense, the risk management and compliance. Third line of defense is internal audit. So business, risk management and compliance, and internal audits. These are the three main core functions we are going to talk. Business, this first one, right? Business is going to own the risk. Okay, they are the people who can decide whether you should be mitigating this risk or we should be accepting this risk. About acceptance and mitigation, we will have a separate class about it in detail about risk management, but here it is just a section. So just understand the first line of defense, first line of business is going to own the risk, implement the control. They are the people who are going to implement the controls. Second line is about risk and compliance. These are the people who are going to monitor risk. They are going to define the frameworks. Then comes the internal audit. So this is also important because when you want to get certified or when you want to get preparation for external audit, you have to first do internal audit, because the external auditor is not going to spend days and days, weeks and weeks of time. He will simply come to your office or your factory or your business premise. He will spend couple of days only, and during that time, that external auditor is going to demand some documentation from you. If you are not able to supply those documentation, audit might fail. So if we don't want to do any adventure with the external audit. That is why we first perform internal audit. Our internal audit is going to collect the documentation. The internal auditor is going to work with all the departments. He is going to uh, you know collect the evidences and everything. And based on that, when external auditor comes to your organization, you provide all those documentation to them, and then they are going to use all that documentation and your audit would be cleared very easily. This is how things function. So I think we will stop it here only, and then we will start our next class from here.